Shall we start? Good evening. We want to welcome you to tonight's candidate forum being sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Woodland. We ask you to silence your cell phones and please refrain from taking photos or video. Woodland TV has that right, and our own Lorna Caraveau will be taking photos on behalf of the League. I'm Karen Urbano. I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Woodland. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 in Chicago, 6 months before the 19th Amendment was ratified. And women won the vote, finally. Formed by suffragists, the League began as a mighty political experiment designed to help 20 million women carry out their new responsibilities as voters. As part of our voter education programs, we sponsor candidate forums like this. Our forums are structured according to guidelines established by the League of Women Voters of California to promote fairness and civil discourse. Some of the audience may have been expecting that tonight's forum would include the candidates for Board of Supervisors District 5. Unfortunately, candidate Paul Bridge withdrew from participating in the forum, citing other responsibilities. Both he and the incumbent Angel Barajas have been invited to place campaign literature in the hallway after the forum for your information, as have the two candidates who are here tonight. Tonight's forum features the two candidates running for the Board of Supervisors in District 3. Seated on your right, I had trouble with that, is Xochitl Rodriguez Murillo, and on your left is, I'm sorry, I got totally mixed up. You can see the signs.
All right, you're looking.
You can figure it out. Mary Vixie-Sandy. They will have the opportunity to tell you about themselves and their candidacy and will respond to questions from the League and from the audience. District 3 is shown on the map on your screen. Coming up. There you go. It is in the green area and includes the part of Woodland south of Main Street, except between East Street and County Road 102, where it is the area south of East Gibson Road. It also includes rural areas to the west of Woodland and south to County Road 29 and southeast to the Sacramento River, plus a narrow portion of rural land north of I-5, bordered by Tule Canal and the Sacramento River. You got all that? You probably know which district you're in. You can find which county district you live in by going to the Yolo County Board of Supervisors website and entering your address. Tonight's forum is being broadcast on Channel 21 by Woodland TV, as well as being live streamed on their YouTube page. The event is also being recorded and will be available for viewing online until after Election Day on March 5th. The moderator for tonight's forum is Eric Kofoid, a member of the League of Women Voters of Woodland, and I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Karen. Our forum will follow this format. Each candidate will give a 2-minute opening statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each of the questions drafted by members of the Woodland League and approved by its board. The order of the candidates' responses will alternate. Our timekeeper, Christine Sproul, will advise candidates when 15 seconds remain and when their time is ended. This will be followed by audience questions which will be screened and prioritized by the League of Women Voters volunteers to avoid duplication and ensure a range of topics and issues. Candidates will each have 1.5 minutes to respond to each audience question. Following questions, candidates will be given 1.5 minutes for a closing statement. To close, I, as moderator, will make some brief remarks. Please refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or non-support for any candidate until the end of the forum. Attendees causing disruptions will be asked to leave. At the end of the forum, we will ask for applause for both candidates. You received a card as you entered and the guidelines for written questions on a handout. Please submit questions that apply to both candidates and are related to the office of Yolo County Supervisor. Our question sorting team will combine duplicates and eliminate inappropriate questions, including negative remarks, rude language, or personal attacks. When you have completed writing your question, please pass it to the aisle. Volunteers will collect questions until approximately 6:55 p.m. Now for the candidates' opening statements, starting with Ms. Murillo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Xochitl Murillo, a lifelong resident of Woodland since 1983 after my parents relocated from St. Helena to Woodland. I come from a family and backbone of farmworkers who came to the United States from Jalisco, Mexico. I grew up in a humble Catholic community in a traditional Mexican-American family through which my siblings and I learned the value of hard work and the value of many opportunities that our beautiful country grants us. I attended public schools and graduated from Woodland High in 2001. I obtained a dual BA in International Relations and Spanish from UC Davis and a Master's in Spanish and Literature from Sacramento State. I joined the military in 2003 and deployed with my boat unit during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Sailing the Gulf for a year, I returned home in 2005 and went back to school. After graduating from UC Davis, I was fortunate to land an internship at the state capitol with the chief clerk's office, and the rest is history. A found passion and love for public service became my lifestyle. I am married to my wonderful husband, Antonio, another veteran committed to public service. I first ran for office in 2016 and was blessed to join a cohort of other local leaders on the city council. I love the job and the ability to impact change and bring opportunities to my community. I support public safety and quality of life for all families, seniors, and children. During my time on the city council, I work hard to support policies to preserve our bountiful agriculture and protect our urban limit lines, to bring affordable housing to our region, especially our farm workers, improve transportation services in our county, create a welcoming and safe space for all through trust-building initiatives, and much more. Today, I come before you with the same commitment to work across all levels of government to finish the work that is still pending. I have connected with farmers, businesses, parents, and community experts who want to be included in the decision-making and policies we pass as county supervisors that affect our residents daily. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to Dr. Sandy.
Can I just ask if I stand, will it? Okay. Thank you very much. Well, good evening, everyone. I am Mary Sandy, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters first and foremost for having this event. I have always enjoyed these discussions. I think it really helps us to shed light on the opportunities in front of us. I also want to thank all of you for being here to listen and to ask us questions and to learn more about all of this, especially given the atmospheric river that we're facing at the moment, or so I've heard it called, and there are sandbags behind the building if anybody needs them. I have lived in Woodland for almost 40 years. We moved here after college and got work in Sacramento. We raised our family here. We've gone through all of the public schools here. We've been on the sporting teams. Our children had a wonderful upbringing in this community, and we had huge opportunities as a family to engage in public service across the board in myriad ways. I've served in the community as I was a vice president of the League of Women Voters once. I've also been on the board for the YMCA. I have been on the school site councils and PTAs. I've made dinner for the football team a couple of times without calling a caterer. Did that out of the kitchen. Worked on the school bond campaign that built Pioneer High School and brought infrastructure improvements across many of our schools. I care deeply about this community. Our family has been working to improve the lives of citizens here in this community for decades now. I was appointed to serve in this office following the death of my husband, former Supervisor Gary Sandy. I believe my professional and leadership experience and the widespread support that I have from the leaders in this community at the city, region, regional and county and state and national levels has been instrumental in getting the appointment to serve currently as your 3rd District Supervisor. I'm honored to be in this role. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now to the questions from the Woodland chapter of the League of Women Voters. The first question will be answered first by Dr. Sandy and then by Ms. Murillo. What are the most important challenges facing Yolo County and District 3, and how do you propose to address them?
Thank you. I think there are a number of issues facing Yolo County and District 3. I think as I'm talking to voters throughout the county, I hear a lot about homelessness, and a concern continues about homelessness, affordable housing, and how we can provide the kinds of services necessary to help the unhoused get on their feet and get moving again. Mental health is a key part of that. Something like 20% of our homeless population need mental health services. The work we've done out at the East Beamer Center here in Woodland has been pivotal in helping to find immediate short-term housing for the unhoused. We need to work on developing opportunities for affordable housing so that people have someplace to go. And we are creating permanent housing out at the homeless center. I'm concerned about our budget. We've had several years now of ARP funding that has really helped in many, many ways to extend the services of the county through our nonprofit partners, et cetera. Those funds are coming to an end. The state budget is in a hard state at the moment, and so what's coming next with regard to our budget is something I'm concerned about. I'm very committed to services for seniors and families and children. We have a population in this county of about 220,000 people, and 25% of them live in poverty. We are the highest poverty county in the state, as I understand it. We have food insecurity, and we have programs to meet families where they live and where they have some need, but I am not sure that we have enough resources to get to all the people who need them. I would also say the environment and our water use is a key issue that we have to be facing going forward, and public safety, especially highlighted by yesterday's event with the shooter in Woodland here, where no shots were fired, and our first responders did an amazing job of bringing a peaceful end to a terrifying event that's so increasingly common across the country. So I think these are the issues we need to grapple with. Thank you.
Ms. Murillo.
Stand, it is easier to breathe when we're standing. Very good. So it was hard to narrow it down to 3 items, but I did have an opportunity to speak to my community, and some of the things that came up often were, of course, our homelessness issue. We had an increase of 14% of folks that are unhoused in our community in Yolo County. Our point in time count just took place, so we have yet to see what those numbers look like. There is no one, we've heard it, there is no one approach to solving homelessness, but we do need to work hard to get folks off the street and into housing. Individuals need help with mental health, right? It ties into homelessness and substance abuse treatment. Transitional housing, of course, and workforce training are going to be a part of this. And the CARE Act, we need to take advantage of the CARE Act and our local community college and local county office of education to create opportunities for workforce training for when we get these folks off the street into services and then back into the workforce. With that, that's how I tie into workforce training. We need to sustain our economy and our community's ability to be independent and to be able to live and thrive in Yolo County. Workforce training is critical to improve equity in education and economic opportunities. So we need to make every effort to collaborate with our community college, with our education institutions, to make sure we're bringing programs that match the skills of the jobs that are needed out in the community. Of course, climate change has heavily impacted our quality of life. Mother Nature can only take so much. In 2020, Yolo County became the first county in the nation to declare a climate emergency, and I'll stand corrected, our first agricultural county to declare an emergency. Volatile weather changes have also impacted our agricultural production. I'm heavily concerned about that, as well as our farm workers' working conditions. As your supervisor, I will collaborate with the Yolo County Homeless and Poverty Action Coalition, our Yolo County's Homeless Commission, YCOE, our community college, our Climate Action Commission, and the Farm Bureau, and many other partners, including Xochitl, to solve these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. The second question is, please explain why you do or do not support the City of Woodland Measure M. The Measure M text reads as follows. Shall the measure authorizing the City of Woodland to accept at least $300 million in federal and state contribution, or up to 99% of the project costs, to provide flood control for the City of Woodland, and authorizing construction of the Lower Cache Creek Flood Risk Management Project as outlined in the measure, be adopted? Ms. Murillo, go first, and then Dr. Sandy.
Yes, thank you. The City of Woodland's Measure M proposes a sound flood solution for the community, allegedly allowing us to accept up to $3 million in state and federal funding to build this levee, and it would provide flood protection for 400 plus residents in the north, or so the language goes. The city passed a resolution supporting this measure. However, collaboration in the form of a resolution from our county board of supervisors is lacking. Community input is lacking. We don't have the town halls. We don't have the comments from the 400 plus residents that live in the north, right? So I see this problematic. Where is the transparency in this measure? The city understandably invested in an extended study to come before the community for a vote supporting this measure. While I was on the city council, we took a trip to DC. It was a lobbying effort for our Sacramento region. Our Army Corps of Engineers acknowledged that the farmers were not in support of this measure, so they turned us back around. And here we are again 4 years later. The measure is in the same place. We haven't engaged our farmers and our ranchers enough, our farm workers who depend on these jobs, our community who want transparency, who are looking at this measure and they're saying we don't know what it means. We know it protects Woodland from floods. When was the last time we flooded, they ask. They said it's supposed to bring development. It will bring development. And all we have to do is look at the financial records and see who's investing in Measure M on the yes and no side. And folks, let's not negate the fact that this measure will bring development, and we need to be respectful to our community. They deserve an opportunity to give public input on this. I'm heavily concerned that this is coming to us in a primary election when voter turnout is lower than the general election. So let's do this right. Let's not sacrifice the future of our community. Let's bring it back for the November election and not give it the 5 minutes that it got in the city council when it was approved to go on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy?
Thank you so much. So in 1955, the levee broke on the Feather River in Yuba City, and a 21-foot wall of water flooded Yuba City. Similar or other intense flooding events have occurred in Natomas. In other Central Valley towns, we've had our own 2017, 2019 flooding situations here in Woodland. We are, as I understand it, the city of Woodland has the highest flood risk of any urban area in the Central Valley. And that's because all of these other places that have experienced significant flooding events upgraded their levees and took care of the problem that they were facing. I support us figuring out how to protect the citizens of Woodland from a significant water event. It's my understanding that both federal and state funding is available to cover 99% of the costs of building a flood channel that will redirect Cache Creek water when it goes over the top. 1% of the cost of doing this will be ours. That's a significant opportunity for us to have some protection built into our community at a cost that we can bear a portion of. I've heard that there's something like 800 homes that are currently paying significant flood insurance every year who will come out of the floodplain if Measure M passes. There are 10,000 acres of farmland in our industrial area out East Street that will all be impacted by significant flooding. So the Army Corps of Engineers recommended a plan. And it's my understanding also that properties that are still in the floodplain, if the channel is built, will have mitigation opportunity of up to $25 million to help support their protection from floods. We must do something. That's my position on this. And we must do something to protect the citizens and business that will be impacted by this. There is more to learn. I'm hopeful that the League of Women Voters will host a forum on this topic and provide the public an opportunity to learn more about the pros and cons of this particular approach. Thank you.
Thank you. The third question is, the 2023 through 24 Yolo County budget contains a $757 million spending plan. Please explain why you do or do not support the way Yolo County finances are currently being allocated and spent. Dr. Sandy first, and then Ms. Murillo.
So about 2/3 of the county's budget goes to pay the wages and the benefits of our staff, about 2,000 staff approximately who work in the county. And I support that spending plan. It's a good idea. The staff are the heart of the county. They're the ones who are providing services. They're the social workers who are out on the street counseling the homeless and helping them find services where they can, counseling the hungry. Where can you find a CalWorks? I know it's a long line to get CalWorks, but to get the CalWorks support or the CalFresh support, but the county staff are the ones who are providing these services. ARP, the American Recovery Plan funding, made life easier in many ways for us, but it didn't provide sustained funding in the ways that we are going to need as we go forward. And the state budget, as I said a moment ago, is in seriously bad shape. So our challenges, first and foremost, we are the lowest percent, we receive the lowest percent of property tax in Yolo County of the 58 counties. There's only one that receives a smaller portion of property tax to fund their budget. We're 57 on that list. We have unfunded mandates, incredibly important programs that could come into Woodland that would help us, and into Yolo County, that would help us provide the kinds of services that our most vulnerable populations need. But they're unfunded. And by virtue of having such a low portion of property tax to support our budget, we rely on general fund. And general fund is going to be very competitive this coming year and for maybe a couple of years out. So how are we going to do these things? I believe we're insufficiently staffed at the moment to meet all of our obligations. Our staff is stretched very, very thin. We need to really focus on retention of our staff and maintenance of our services that we can provide, and do the best we can to put together a budget that will really meet the needs and the obligations of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have a 3-minute pause for the last audience questions to be collected. Please pass your final questions to the aisle. Oh, I'm so sorry. Ms. Murillo.
Wasn't sure if that we were going to wait, but that's okay. Very good. All right, so our 23-24 budget, I do know that our county is doing the best job it can in aligning our expenditures to match the goals of the county strategic plan, including thriving residents, safe communities, sustainable environments, flourishing agriculture, and our robust economy. So they take our budget every year and they align and see where are the greatest needs. About 36% go into our Health and Human Services Department, 26% to our general government, 18% to community services, 17% to law and justice, and 3% to capital improvements. For this budget, like I said, the county did do its due diligence to sit down with every department and review the needs of each specific department. We do have ways to ensure to collaborate more closely with our local branches of government and have metrics in place to track data on financial investments. I believe we have some experience in limiting future mistakes, such as the past due Washington Unified School Bond that was not charged in time to the West Sacramento School District, and other issues tied to our golf course and Wild Wings. So, among others, the budget will always be a work in progress, and as county supervisors, we play an instrumental role in helping assess where the needs are with the help of stakeholders and community experts. Structural budget issues, as we've heard, are forecasted, and we must stay vigilant given the state's $68 billion budget deficit that looms above us. We must also be very careful to not heavily rely on salary savings and general fund balance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You all know what to do. 3 minutes. Please pass your questions to the aisle. Are there any more questions from the audience? Okay, well, that was a very short 3 minutes. The fourth question is, please explain why you do or do not support Yolo County's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, and what actions will you support for its implementation and monitoring? We'll begin with Ms. Murillo, followed by Dr. Sandy.
All right, so yes, I support the county's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. In 2020, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution declaring a climate change crisis, requiring urgent and inclusive mobilization in Yolo County. I'm very proud of that effort, of our effort to move to be the first agricultural county in the nation and declare a climate emergency. And I'm firmly committed to our county's 2030 net zero goal. Yolo County is ag as we know it. I am concerned about the weather's impact on agricultural production and our community's quality of life. Climate change has heavily impacted crop production in Yolo County. In 2022, our county saw a significant decrease in agricultural production due to the drought. Water shortages also affected rice production and in turn livestock, which depends on forage for livestock grazing. Additionally, the weather freeze affected walnut and grape values. I do support the county's move to adopt early action projects, and those came as we were moving along in creating this adaptation plan or the idea of the plan. And some of those early action projects include Carmen Farming Partnership Project, Electrification Retrofit Rebate Outreach Project, 100% renewable electricity accounts, Home Energy Labeling Project, our Inventory and Feasibility Study to remove fossil fuels from county operations, Zero Emission Vehicle Master Plan, and our Agricultural Equipment Replacement Program. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy?
Thank you. I too support the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. I think it's really quite critical that we do every single thing we possibly can to reduce our carbon emissions. I support the plan, I support the blueprint. I think a healthy community is a vibrant community and will be an economically viable community, and it's in our best interest to do this. The county is currently partnering with the cities and many other organizations, including Valley Clean Energy, the Yolo Solano Air Quality Management Board, and others. It's my understanding there's something like 225 specific actions that our planning groups have been identifying that can help us get to where we need to go. Options as simple, well, maybe simple as replacing all of the light bulbs with LED bulbs throughout the county. Of course, moving to increasing the number of charging stations, moving to better opportunities to purchase and use lower fuel energy vehicles for what we need to do, converting our fleets to electric vehicles. These are really important things for us to figure out how to do if we're going to achieve a very ambitious goal of 2030 net zero or negative carbon emissions. So I support the plan, and I look forward to working on doing the hard work, really, of figuring out how to get it done, and really to improve the overall quality of life here on the planet, but also in Yolo County. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin with questions submitted by our audience. Question number 1. Dr. Sandy will answer first, and then Ms. Murillo. How do you envision more collaboration or communication between the city council members from the 4 Yolo County cities?
Communication between the 4 cities?
Yes.
City council?
Would you like me to repeat the question?
If you would, thank you.
How do you envision more collaboration or communication between the city council members from the 4 Yolo County cities? That would be Woodland, Davis, West Sac, and Winters.
Okay. So what I know about that is that cities can get very involved in their own work. I think the county has played a pretty critical role, often plays a critical role in convening the cities to take on issues like homelessness, to take on issues like water. We have regular 2x2 meetings where the county meets with cities, but we meet with them individually. We don't meet with all 4 of them at the same time. So it feels a little outside the scope of the Board of Supervisors to me to facilitate the inter-city or cross-city connection and communication. But the fact of the matter is, we have issues of common interest and common need. And when we do come together, we can really make a difference. I think one place that has really been true, as I said, is in addressing homelessness. Each of the cities in this county has undertaken a plan. I think Woodland's plan, I think Yolo County's plan is first rate compared to many of the other cities in our area, well, in the state. We are actually actively building housing, short-term housing, like the East Beamer Park, like the Huddle on 5th Street in West Sacramento, designed for not homeless, but parents who are, single parents who are seeking to get their education. It provides a subsidy for them in housing and in education to complete their education and get on their feet. These are the kinds of solutions that we can develop locally within our communities if we can collaborate and develop a common vision and strategy for it.
Ms. Murillo.
Yes, thank you. All right, so communication with our local governments, our city council, and our school boards for that matter is important. And we have a responsibility, an individual responsibility as supervisors to lay out our own plan, right? We have several committees, several commissions. We work with other nonprofits that have interactions with our local and school governments. I like to look at it and zero in on projects where our city and our school district need additional help. So our Bright and Broader communities are bringing in a park with a wonderful pool. Community members are giving their input. I had the pleasure of sitting down in some of those meetings and hearing from residents. Our Spring Lake community, they're in need of another school. So I find it as an opportunity to have conversations about how do we bring funding to our city and to our school board to make that happen. Our Spring Lake, our new fire station that's now competing for funds with the new pool that we're planning south of Pioneer High School. I see that as a big project, big capital project where we need to keep an eye on and have constant communication with our local elected. And so I see the big projects as driving a lot of the communication efforts and making sure that we're bringing that state and federal funding, going more rural, Plainfield Elementary, right? Having those conversations with the school board about how we can increase lighting and how we can increase protection through our public safety channels and different departments for our students and so forth. And so I think communication is going to be an ongoing effort, a full-time effort, and we need to be committed to staying organized on the individual level and making sure that our staff is doing the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. What, if any, policies and actions, for instance, increasing housing inventory and mental health services, will you support to reduce the number of people experiencing housing issues? Ms. Murillo first, and then Dr. Sandy.
Absolutely. I plan to continue supporting projects such as the room key projects that we've seen in West Sacramento. The Beamer campus is a project that I supported and participated in lobbying efforts with nonprofits and our state committee, and also participated in improving the 72 units on the corner of Ashley and Main for our city. So I'm heavily committed in finding those spaces, those infill spaces to bring in additional housing to our residents. Mental health, we have Prop 1 coming to us. We have the CARE Act, which is going to allow us to continue to provide services. Our public safety officials are already out on the streets helping out individuals who need to get housed. But we also have mental health needs in our schools, right? Mental health needs amongst our caregivers. Our folks, our public safety officials, our caregivers, our counselors, our teachers also need additional care. And they also need to be equipped and prepared to provide those services to our students and our parents. And so I see that as a way to collaborate and provide opportunities in career development for mental health services and counseling.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. What, if any, policies and actions, for instance, increasing housing inventory and mental health services, will you support to reduce the number of people experiencing housing issues?
So we've done a lot in Yolo County in each of the communities to use infill, to use property that we have inside the cities, to redevelop them for low-income housing or affordable housing. Creating homeless centers in each of the communities in this county has been a really important set of activities. I'm excited about the Yolo Donnelly project that's going in on East Street that will provide between 350 and 450 mixed housing units with a carve-out for low-income affordable housing for low-income people. It's very important for us, I think, to work on housing policy if we can, and to make sure that every developer who is permitted to do a development, undertake a development in this county, has a cutout, a set aside to focus on affordable housing. We will never address fully the issue of homelessness if we don't have a pathway from emergency short-term housing into affordable housing. And that does include wraparound services, and mental health being a key part of that. Some of the really important work that we've been doing across the county has been to provide wraparound services, getting mental health practitioners and services to homeless people who need them. As I said, 20% about of the homeless population are suffering from mental health issues. And if those services are available, then that's critical to their moving forward into a more productive and opportunity to thrive in this community. So that's the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Question number 3. Yolo County has long had concerns over water. How would you address the agricultural, residential, and commercial needs for water while ensuring long-term health of our aquifers? Dr. Sandy first, and then Ms. Murillo.
That is the question of the hour, isn't it? You know, I was talking with a farmer the other day who reminded me of the introduction to East of Eden, John Steinbeck's book, written in the 1930s, and how in the introduction he focuses on the cycles of flooding and drought that California faces. So what we're experiencing with a long, long drought and with incredibly, increasing intensity of flooding, this is not new in California. This is, I think, our agricultural community understands that there's an ebb and flow to it. That said, we had wells run dry last year, what do we do then? I remember driving through the city of Willits and seeing a sign on the outskirts of town saying we have 25 days of water left. What do you do then, right? Do we ship in the water? Where do we get the water that we need? Water planning and water use planning in this county is one of the most important things I think we need to do. We need to work on storage. We need to work on management of how deep you can dig a well. We need to think about the fact that we have significantly increased the number of perennial crops in this community, in this region, as opposed to crops that didn't necessarily need groundwater support or for the aquifers. So planning is a key part of this. I sit on the Yolo Sub-Basin Groundwater Agency, and they're working on developing a plan. It's been approved, in fact, by the Department of Water Resources to support what's happening with our aquifers, and I'm going to continue to put my shoulder to that wheel.
Thank you. Ms. Murillo.
I think I remember the whole question.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Yolo County has long had concerns over water. How would you address the agricultural, residential, and commercial needs for water while ensuring long-term health of our aquifers?
Absolutely. I think we need to work closely with our farmers and assist them wherever it is that they need help to keep their wells running so that they could sustain their operations. I also know that about 65% of our water is groundwater, and our state has been helping us with those efforts through that, I think it's over 600 million grant that we received, and so fully supportive of those efforts, and also bringing in our folks on the industrial land to see how they can collaborate with us. On the residential side, communication and information to our community is key. Making sure that we're going to our schools, meeting with our PTAs, meeting with our library groups to make sure that the messaging is going from the school to the home and vice versa, that we're engaging our community and that we're hearing from our residents as well. And that brings a good point in making sure that we're providing a lot of this information in different languages, because we do have a very diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. What, if any, changes would you make to the way the county handles civil rights and other complaints? Ms. Murillo first, and then Dr. Sandy.
Civil rights and other complaints. I believe the county was recently asked to take a position in what we're seeing happen over in the Gaza territory, right? And we're still trying to define where it is that we do participate, or maybe limit it to our state and federal partners to take a stand. I will always be open to listening to our community, to having conversations with our students as well, because I know our students are heavily impacted, right? They're invested in their education, they're learning about what's going on in their communities, they're learning about what's going on abroad, and then they'll come back and they're wondering, what is my community doing to impact this effort for the betterment of our community, right? Or to stop atrocities in this case. And so I will always be open to adopting a resolution if that's the wish of our county board of supervisors and our community. I think we have an ability to use our resources at hand to make that happen. I don't think it hurts, but I do think we need to pay attention to the magnitude and how that impacts our community and how much that affects mental health as well. Because we may be turning our community away and saying, sorry, this isn't a county level issue, but the reality is when these folks go home, how are they dealing with it? How is it impacting their day-to-day and their own mental health? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes.
Thank you.
What, if any, changes would you make to the way the county handles civil rights and other complaints?
Well, I think that the county has a responsibility to listen, first of all, to the people. I also think the county has a responsibility to stick to its job and to do its work and to do what it does as well as it possibly can. I think it's important that the county not really stray too far from what our mandate is as a county, and we have important work to do within this county. Civil rights and other complaints. I mean, we have heard a few of those. Certainly we've heard from community members asking for a ceasefire. We've heard from other members of the community saying, please do not pass a resolution supporting a ceasefire. We have deep conflict in other parts of the world that finds its way here when the community itself finds itself embattled over ideas and over politics. I think one thing the county can and should do is to provide a facilitative space for people to be heard, but to stay focused on our work. We have also recently, the county put together and installed a new diversity, equity, and inclusion office. And the focus of that office is really to look at how all citizens, all of the diverse citizens in our county, and certainly within the county walls, have a voice and can be heard, and to really focus on how we can promote equitable practices in our community and inclusive practices within our community. I think there's some opportunities there. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 5. Now that the Cache Creek Nature Preserve, which is county-owned, is in District 3, how do you see the role of county support? Dr. Sandy first, and then Ms. Murillo.
Well, I'm just going to say I am absolutely thrilled that the Cache Creek Conservancy is in District 3. In fact, the chairman of the board, Jim Barrett, is here today. I don't think this question came from you, but thank you for being here. It's really an extraordinary place. I was out there a couple of weeks ago touring it with Jim Barrett. And one of the things that the county can do is something that I helped to push through just this couple of weeks ago, and that is to provide we provided funding to Cache Creek Conservancy to support bringing elementary students back out and to reestablish the school program and the opportunities for schools and school children to come out and see this incredible reserve and the birds and the wildlife and the habitat restoration that's out there. If you haven't been there, you really owe it to yourself to go and walk the trails there and see what's happening. So one thing I'm happy about is getting education back out there, but my commitment is to look at what else we can do to preserve this area, to work on habitat restoration, and I'm all in on that.
Thank you. Ms. Murillo.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very supportive of our Cache Creek Reserve and efforts to maintain it and working with the reserve itself, our Yolo Habitat Conservancy, to make sure that we are allowing access safely to our community. And I agree that we need to provide educational efforts for our students, also for our seniors, working for our community care car, a company that operates here out of the senior center to get our seniors out into the community, working with a Yolo bus, our beeline, to be able to get our folks out to the Conservancy while practicing the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So congratulations to the Reserve, and I look forward to seeing what else flourishes from the Reserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 6. How will you ensure accountability and transparency as a candidate and elected official? Ms. Murillo first, followed by Dr. Sandy.
Accountability and transparency, yes. As elected officials, we have an individual responsibility to our voters, right? So we get elected into office and we get to represent them and take votes on matters that affect them on a daily basis. I think it's important for us to assess our work-life balance and to assess where we may be facing any potential conflicts of interest, and reducing those conflicts of interest because any conflict of interest can be detrimental to how we represent our community. So limiting those conflict of interest or completely eliminating is what we need to be focused as individual supervisors. Also making sure that our county resources are used for that purpose to represent the community. All right, we come among critical times, especially during campaign. I'm a state employee, and whenever I'm on campaign, I need to take time off to make sure that I'm not using our taxpayer money to do my campaign efforts. So that's another piece I always think about, that conflict of interest and making sure that our resources, our staff time, any material that comes out of our full-time position as supervisors is not used for any other activity than representing the people. And then I had one more to address. Oh, of course, any decisions that we make, right? Measure M is a perfect example, making sure that we allow for public input, making sure that we elevate something of that magnitude, a project of that magnitude, to the same as our climate action plan, where we're doing ongoing forums and grabbing community input. So I think community input is key in allowing the opportunity for folks to come in and to give their opinion on policies. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy?
Would you repeat the question?
Yes. How will you ensure accountability and transparency as a candidate and elected official?
Well, so I'm thinking about, I'm currently serving in the role as a county supervisor, and have been in budget workshops, have been in governance workshops, have been in strategic planning workshops. And in terms of transparency and accountability within the county and within my role as a supervisor, I think it's really critical to keep our eye on the budget, to make sure we're spending within our means, that we have adequately accounted for all of the things we're going to invest in and spend money on. And when a problem surfaces, like the Washington Unified problem, where a tax bill didn't get out to the people in time and they got a double tax bill in the fall, transparency and accountability for that was really quite important. The transparent part was to own the problem, to define the problem, to figure out how that problem occurred. The accountability part, where I think the county has a responsibility to be accountable to the citizens and not drop surprises like that right in the middle of their lap, was to provide a repayment plan for the impacted citizens that was humane and doable for them, to extend the period of repayment, and to make very public and very clear that we won't do that again, and that's much to be hoped. So transparency about owning the problem, accountability about fixing the problem, and living within our means is key. The strategic planning part of this, I'm watching this brilliant staff at the county put together action plans to implement a new strategic plan. And it's clear, and it's got a fine grain size, and it will be made available to the public very soon, with a lot of interactive possibility and opportunity here, so that we are transparent with the public and that the public can hold us accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 7. How will you balance your professional and personal life with your duties and responsibilities as a supervisor? Dr. Sandy, followed by Ms. Murillo.
That's a question. So at the moment, I wouldn't say I'm balancing everything quite as well as I would like to. It's a little like, throwing plates that are on fire or something. I currently have 2 professional jobs. One is that I am a county supervisor. 2 is that I direct the State Commission on Teacher Credentialing. And the informal work, where we take time off from the other work, is running for this elected office. That's not sustainable in the long run for any human. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. That said, I think it requires intentionality to begin and end the day with the intention that you're going to maintain some balance. We have 34 more days until this election occurs, and one of my 3 jobs is going off the table. And figuring out how I'm going to balance the rest of it and serve the positions that I have is a I've scheduled time for that in March after the election. But I really do support the concept, and I appreciate the question, because we do need to be reminded that work-life balance and making sure we're doing what we can do, not overcommitting to do too much or promise too much and do too little to achieve the promises that we make. So anyway, thank you for the question. It's that was a mental health question, I think.
Ms. Murillo.
Yes, thank you. I have the pleasure of living in Woodland, and I'm going to have the opportunity to work close to home at times, and then there's going to be times when I'm going to have to travel for our county, right? Get out to the rural communities in our district. I'm get out to Brighton, Broderick, and travel for conferences and what you may have, and so I'm very excited about that work. Right now, full-time, I am a Deputy Secretary of Minority Affairs for our State Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm a governor appointee, and that's my full-time job. And then 1 week in a month, I go out to Mountain View for my Army Reserve duties. And so in coming in and making a commitment as a candidate for Yolo County Supervisor, I will be doing this job full-time. I do not plan to keep both jobs. Our Yolo County Supervisor jobs require that full-time commitment. There's a lot of detail that goes into these positions, and so we need to be dedicated to our communities and to be able to come back with responses, with answers in a timely manner, and to be able to streamline all the services at the county, work with our staff, and making sure that things are running smoothly. So for me, upon being elected as County Supervisor to District 3 is my full-time job, and 1 week in a month you will see me driving out of town for my Army Reserve duties. So thank you.
Thank you. Question number 8. Please explain how you will balance campaign support with constituent needs to assure fair representation and accountability for and to your constituents. Ms. Murillo first, followed by Dr. Sandy.
All right, so fair representation when we are candidates, and then when we are representing our community as well, is what I gathered. And I think it's very important when election season comes around, when we are campaigning, that we are transparent in every conversation we have. Meaning, if we're receiving funding from an entity or an organization or a developer or what you may have, that we have an agreement that that other party is supporting us because they believe in us, not because they're expecting for us to take a certain vote or to agree with whatever project they want to participate in the future. Our commitment is to the community. Our commitment is to the public. And just as much as our community gets us elected, they can very well get us off the seat, right? We are seeing that today with the recall effort. So I'm all about transparency. I'm all about my community, and I will place my community's interests first before any other special interest that's out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sandy?
Could you repeat the question?
Please explain how you will balance campaign support with constituent needs to assure fair representation and accountability for and to your constituents.
Well, it's an interesting question. I think that I am thrilled and actually deeply honored to be a county supervisor and to represent the 3rd District. And I'm currently working 7 days a week, doing that work and also campaigning for this office. And also running my state agency. So I've taken some time off from the state agency. I hear from constituents on a regular basis And I have the opportunity to engage with them and to find out what their issues of concern might be. Whether it's a Wild Wings problem with water, with golf course, with a management plan for managing things in the future. Whether it's talking with people who are struggling to get access to Veterans Affairs in the county and who wish that they would like some help from my office to help them open the door and get the support that they need. I work with a really strong staff, Dottie Pritchard and David Moreno, who extend the work of our office into many places, and we work as a very solid team, making sure that our constituents hear back whenever they reach out to us for a question. And in terms of campaign transparency, and I'm not sure what all is buried in that question. The Levine Act that was passed a year ago put some new constraints on fundraising for campaigns that added to the existing constraints that the FPPC puts on candidates, where every single dime that you raise has to be reported, and if you have conflict, you must either return funding or you must recuse yourself from issues. So we live within a strong framework of law and statute, and we meet those laws and statutes in order to stay and do the work we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. We will now have candidates' closing statements. In the interest of fairness, we'll start first with the candidate who made their opening statement last. That would be Dr. Sandy.
I just want to thank all of you for being here, for your interest in the community and the county's work, your interest in these two candidates, and for asking us some probing questions. Thank you. That's always good. It's a good exercise. It's a good workout. I moved here almost 40 years ago, and I've never looked back. I was raised in the urban area of San Francisco, and Yolo County has been a gift to me, to my family. It's been a place where all of us have lived and grown and thrived. The opportunity to serve this community has been a strong, strong theme in our family. And I'm continuing that theme. I've been serving at the state and national level, and the opportunity to serve at the local level is really critical. Mariko Yamada, who used to be on the Board of Supervisors, told me recently that the county is the place where policy meets the people, and she couldn't be more right. She's absolutely right. And meeting the people here and bringing policy and listening to their interests, their needs, their concerns, so we can shape policy to better serve this community. It's hard work, it's mentally taxing work, it's collaborative work. The opportunity to work with others on this Board of Supervisors, on our city councils, on the various committees that we have, it is good and it's great work, and I'm deeply honored to be able to do it. I have a passion for it, and I seriously hope that I have the opportunity to continue this when I win the election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Murillo.
Friends, I hope my service to my community and county has proven my commitment to working hard for Yolo County. Yolo County deserves full-time representation for the many demands of a county supervisor. We currently only have part-time representation. I have been invested in public service for the betterment of my community, to continue fortifying the Yolo Way Foundation, and to provide a safe and equitable pipeline for our future Yolo County leaders to serve our community. I will always advocate for streamlining services in Yolo County and ensuring our budget investments are made with our community's best interest in mind. You know me for my efforts in reaching out to my community and for my grassroots level approach to meeting my community where they are. I will always have an open door policy, and you will always be welcome in my office. I look forward to working with our rural communities to ensure we are providing access to essential services like broadband and internet, transportation and healthcare, and many more. When recommending boards and commissions, I will look to driving diversity, equity, and inclusion so all Yolo County residents are represented at the table. I'm eager to work with our farmers, ranchers, and farm worker community to learn about the ongoing need to preserve food security and protect habitats and spaces sacred to our Native community. I'm here for the people, and I have the support of our Yolo County Deputy Sheriff's Association, our Woodland Police Officers Association, and individuals who lead with integrity and recognize the value of hard work. I'm grateful to the many households and voters who connected with me during this campaign and shared their stories. Meeting you at your door has been the highlight of my campaign. We're not finished. I serve my community and country, and I'm more than qualified to step in as a Yolo County Supervisor for District 3. I'm Xochitl Rodriguez Murillo, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
Thank you. Please join me in a round of applause for our candidates this evening. I would like to remind you that our candidates have provided us with free campaign literature right outside the door. In addition to candidate forums, the League of Women Voters sponsors Vote 411, an unbiased online voters resource created to provide in-depth information about your candidates and ballot measures. Search Vote 411 on the internet and enter your address to find the candidates and measures on your ballot, as well as important election dates. Candidates post their information and responses to the questions, so you are getting information directly from them. We would like to thank Dale Dennis and his crew from Woodland TV, which is broadcasting, streaming, and recording this forum. It will be available online until after the election on March 5th. Look for the link at the Woodland League of Women Voters website or at woodlandtv.org. We also thank the City of Woodland and the staff at this beautiful community and senior center for the use of the facility. Thank you to the candidates for coming and speaking to us tonight, and to the many League of Women Voters members who made this event possible. I would also like to thank you, the audience, for your respectful attention and thoughtful questions. Your informed participation is critical to our democracy. To learn more about your local League of Women Voters of Woodland, please visit our website. Thank you to our audience here in Woodland and those viewing online tonight.